Everyone has a story. Welcome to In Her Words, a podcast from women in entertainment where female creatives and allies share their stories in their own words.
This is a dedicated space centered on how to harness creativity for inspiring and impactful projects in the ever-changing landscape of entertainment.
I'm Renee Rossi.
I'm Gretchen McCourt.
And this is In Her Words. As part of the Cannes Lion 2025 programming, In Her Words, the flagship podcast from Women in Entertainment, is launching a special Dispatches from Cannes series, spotlighting founders, visionaries, and companies at the intersection of media, technology, and storytelling. This series is produced in partnership with Buzzer, a communications consultancy working with a collective of companies and creators driving innovation, entertainment, and culture. Buzzer is proud to count Women in Entertainment and Relativity Ventures among its collective strategic partners and to support clients like Paris Hilton's 1111 Media, as a prime example of a modern media day company reshaping content, commerce, and community for a new generation. Well, guys, it is so lovely to reconnect. Obviously, I know Bruce from another lifetime, but it is so great. Thank you so much for coming on. We're excited to talk to you.
Yeah, we're excited as well.
So much is going on with 1111. So would love to hear a little bit from you guys in terms of, everything going on in your ecosystem. You have so many different moving parts.
Yeah, I mean, let me just kick it off by giving a little history lesson. Paris and I founded 1111. Now it's a little bit over 4 years ago. And our real intent was to create a next generation media company at the center of culture, connecting commerce, content, and community. And we've built a remarkable business, and kind of thank you for your kind words about, what we've built. But it's everything's at the essence of Paris. And we have developed a business that has the foundation of a flywheel. And the idea is that now that we've built that foundation, we can really expand across every area of media. And we have television shows and podcasts and an enormous brand business, a licensing business, a music business, a publishing business. And then the through line is impact. And we really like to make a difference every day for people. And, that's why we love these surprise and delight moments that we're able to, bring to the world. And then at the same time, focused on the troubled teen industry, and changing state laws and federal laws has been a priority.
That's amazing. In terms of the ecosystem that you have created and the business model you've created, both of you come from incredible legacy media backgrounds. What are you seeing from a legacy perspective, and how are you, and obviously you're innovative. How, what, as you're starting to embark on continuing to grow the brand, continuing to create all of these different opportunities, what are you seeing from legacy that just isn't working anymore? And, and obviously, you guys are continuing to make these successful ventures and successful podcasts and media ventures. Where do you see the brand going? And why did you create this?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's so interesting about 1111 is I think we're the kind of perfect expression of the complexion of a new media company, in
Yes.
that we're running this 24/7 content creation machine, where we are packaging various formats of content across in a hyper distributed way, and really going to our audiences and our fandoms wherever they are and in the formats they're consuming in and speaking the languages that they're speaking, and that creates kind of all of these touch points that,
Yeah.
that then we can turn into community, and then we can introduce new products and services and new IP to, but it all rests on that kind of 24/7 content engine, which requires a different operation for us internally. It requires us to have the ability to package that content really fast, to edit it in all of those formats, to engage with the platforms to take most advantage of all of the kind of tools and and kind of and levers that those formats that those platforms allow for. And that's something that is a kind of a complete shift in mindset from a kind of old school media model.
Yeah, and I think just to expand on what Rachel was saying was we're able to do this at lightning speed.
Mhm.
And as we've all sat at big media companies, one of the biggest challenges is speed. And so we're able to do it incredibly fast. And to give you an example, we could produce a campaign from the concept to it actually being on air in a very, very quick time, to the degree that even our partners are just so impressed. And if you look at a campaign like Sonic that we produced with Paris and Nicole, that campaign took 30 days from the time the idea started to when we actually had it on air.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And even our editorial storytelling, we're built in a way where we can react and act in the speed of culture. And so a couple weeks ago, we saw a TikTok video kind of, starting to gain traction, in which a young woman's car caught on fire. And the only thing that survived in the fire of her car was her Paris Hilton hydration bottle or cup. And she made this call to action, and she was, kind of really distraught. And she said, "Paris, help me. Like, I can't, you're my savior. I can't believe this survived. And, like, can you help me?" And we saw the video immediately because we're monitoring everything in real time. Paris responded to her right away. We responded to her right away in her DMs. Behind the scenes, we reached out to our friends at Carvana. We were able to secure, kind of getting her a new car really quickly. But then, of course, that wasn't enough. So Paris herself said, "I'm delivering this, and I'm going to go surprise her." And so we managed within, rough like 72 hours to coordinate a whole trip. We got Paris on the ground there. We had a videographer, we had content capture, and then we had, kind of our editing machine behind the scenes that can turn that around within a number of hours. And we're in that kind of, machine of culture driving storytelling. And it's so impactful. And then, of course, it happens to also connect to the fact that everyone wanted to buy those water bottles right after. So we were able to also make sure that the fans knew exactly where to go, that we had stock available, and all of that good stuff.
That's amazing. Bruce, you mentioned at the top just talking about impact. Can you expand on that a little bit, just in terms of how impact is a through line through everything that you're creating?
Yeah, so the person that heads up our impact was our third hire. So just to give you perspective of how important it was to the company to have that layer and that lens. And it was really, the beginning of it was prompted by Paris's documentary and then our action around the troubled teen industry. And that was where everything started. And over the course of the past 4 years, we've changed over 13 state laws. We've passed a federal bill, all protecting young children, because Paris experienced, those schools in a very horrific way. And so that was kind of the beginning of how we wanted to make sure we would be making a difference. But then as we start developing other businesses like Paravi, our beauty business, or as we even work with our partners, we're consistently working on making a difference. And that's an important part of the culture and the DNA of the business.
Yeah, and Paris does such a beautiful job at turning her pain into purpose. She's expressed that that's the ultimate legacy that she wants to leave, and that's her most fulfilling and impactful work. And to that end, we rally around the causes that are so personal to Paris's life, which creates, kind of even more authenticity in the worlds that we can then make an impact in. So all around ending institutionalized child abuse, we have both a 501(c)(3) and a 501(c)(4) set up so we can do that advocacy work. And then we also do a lot of work to raise awareness and help champion those who have neurodivergence. So we've done a tremendous amount of work to raise awareness around the power of ADHD and making people who are diagnosed with ADHD feel seen, feel part of a community, have tools to understand how their brain works. Paris refers to her ADHD as her superpower, and we've seen that really inspire a new generation to feel really proud in their own skin and kind of in their own brain. And we did a lot of great work last year with the organization called Understood to raise awareness around that issue. We actually just kicked off a really major initiative, obviously around the LA fires, where Paris and Carter were impacted personally and lost their home. But Paris sprung into action immediately to support others. We raised over $1 million within 72 hours ish. We turned that into a grant program right away with GoFundMe. We did a lot of work to help pets get adopted. And then we actually just did another partnership with GoFundMe where together we raised and are giving out $1 million worth of grants to 50 incredible female entrepreneurs in the Pasadena, Altadena area. And we're working right now on telling their stories and turning that into a series that'll be released this fall. And so it's just to Bruce's point, it's woven into everything that we do. So when we're thinking about storytelling, when we're thinking about putting out a new album, when we're thinking about how we connect with the consumers around Paris's new skincare line, the amazing Paravi, that there's an impact and a give back and a kind of helping people rise up component to everything we do.
That's awesome. So just going to what you were talking about, can you talk a little bit about when you're, especially with taking this through line, Paris reaches Gen Alpha, she reaches the millennial audience. She stays very true to that in terms of, how she found her celebrity, so to say, years ago. How do you approach, or what is your thesis as you look at both branded as well as original content? Like, how does that all kind of come together in terms of how do you choose the projects you're doing and vet them and then, obviously distribute them?
Well, everything starts with authenticity. So that's kind of the starting point. So is it a product Paris uses? Is it a category she's passionate about? And then how can we kind of bring her sparkle to the story? And so that's really how we start kind of putting the pieces together. And if you look across some of the brand partners that, we've done incredible work with, Hilton, for example, Paris launched for the stay. And if you look at those original commercials, they have Paris's sparkle and obviously her history with that brand and, her family. And as you kind of look across the spectrum of what we've done, everything has a very similar theme. And I'll even jump to cookware, which no one would anticipate Paris Hilton, launching a cookware business. But we did have a YouTube series that then became a television series on Netflix that then launched our cookware business. And pink cookware wasn't out there a few years ago, but now everybody wants to be a part of pink cookware business. And so that's kind of how we start framing it. And then the other fun piece is Rachel has created an incredible creative team here that works with our partners and allows, and offers us the ability to shape it to Paris.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite anecdotes from last year was when we were doing a photo shoot for Paris's first single on the new album. And it was actually around Mother's Day. And so we did a photo shoot with London, and it was the first photos that were going to be, the world was going to be introduced to London. And to that point of running this kind of 24/7 content creation machine, we had the cameras running and capturing BTS, and there was just a really funny, completely unscripted, off the cuff moment, which is so Paris in that she is, like those one-liners come out of her. Oh my gosh, there's a little bit of gardening
You probably don't hear that.
Okay.
Do you hear that? Okay.
And, and there was a moment in which, we had just released Paris's collaboration with Tan Lux, which was an amazing beauty collab that we did last year. And Paris is, kind of tan as always and beautiful skin, but she's carrying baby London in her arms with, his milky white skin, probably hasn't seen much sun, and she's just laughing at the kind of juxtaposition, and then she's like, oh, like, should we make baby Tanner? Like, complete joke, the whole thing. But it was just such a funny moment. But it was something that we all kind of like just were laughing in the moment. But because we have that operation, our team is kind of clocking and cataloging all of our content and looking for how to package these moments into social moments. And so we packaged it into a TikTok. It goes out right away. At this point, a number of months later, we're at 100 million views of that moment across TikTok and Instagram. But it was also right alongside the Tan Lux launch. So we were able to kind of very, kind of seamlessly and authentically connect the dots to the Tan Lux product. And our partners couldn't have been, happier campers. And so we're kind of, to your question, like everything's very, very seamless and natural. We look to work with partners who want to tell those authentic stories with us.
And then on the flip side, when we look at categories that we want to enter, we obviously have a full data team that we're looking at kind of all the data signals and insights, and a great area that wouldn't feel natural, but obviously once we tell you the story makes a lot of sense, is true crime and our entrance into kind of the true crime space through podcasting. My friend Daisy now is a hit in audio, and you'll probably be hearing and seeing it going beyond kind of that area. But that was something that we knew there was an opportunity, but we didn't know kind of where Paris would fit. And solving crimes on TikTok is like such a perfect place to kind of start. And then the story obviously was local and we were aware of it. And then just the ability to bring it to the world kind of through our lens was something that we're really proud of.
That's incredible. How often let's talk a little bit about your data team. Like, in terms of how you make choices, how is data wrapped into all of your different choices in terms of what you're going after across all, whether it be brand activations, your content creation? What does that really look like for you all?
Well, we use data a lot. You could talk to our partners because we feed back a lot of information to our partners, whether it's pre or post campaigns, because we believe kind of in the power of those signals. I mean, Rachel, you want to talk a little bit about like how we put together we put together case studies. We really dig very deep, and we always say that Paris's superpower is PR and earned media, and we look at that as a big component of how we're evaluating where we're going or how we've done.
Yeah. But we track everything, and part of the beauty of being the new media company is we have kind of much closer relationships with the fans. Obviously, we're operating on partner platforms, whether it be Meta platforms, TikTok platforms, a lot of the time, but we're aggregating all of those data sources around engagements and video views and follows, and then what we're doing is we're utilizing a lot of advanced tools. Even the basics like ChatGPT, and we're inputting a lot of our of our insights or a lot of our trackers and gleaning insights together with different AI and advanced tools for looking for signals of, kind of what makes a piece of content perform better, what makes, and then we're kind of constantly, to Bruce's point, we have a culture of let's just get 1% better every day. So we're pushing ourselves and our team to always be, okay, how did this event or how did this moment compare to a similar one that we did this time? Okay, very quick turnaround, kind of insights gleaning. We have just a very quick kind of insight sharing culture here of kind of quick turnaround bullets that we share on Slack all the time. And then, a lot of that's on our kind of media and kind of content business. And similarly, though, on our commerce business, it's very much the same as far as pulling as many of those interesting tidbits that we could pull. If it's customer reviews, if it's kind of reports that we can get access to from retailers, and then we're doing the same kind of thing where we're just trying to glean those insights so that we can apply them going forward.
And we're a small company, but we're able to use AI, and we're building some tools that will really allow us to leverage that data in a whole new way.
Amazing. When you're looking at the landscape and you're looking at brands really engaging different types of content builds and media, kind of making their decisions around whether it be media buys or branded content, things along those lines, what are you seeing brands really ask for, and how are you seeing them kind of pivot in this environment versus some of the traditional ways that they typically used to really find engagement with their audiences or with their consumers?
Yeah, so I mean, we work with so many brands that have kind of different markers for success. Um, and one of the things that we continue to come back to is it's very hard or difficult for a brand to insert themselves into culture. And a lot of them try, and many of them miss. So we always start with is like, what's the moment that we could create together that will break the internet, that will kind of define that moment. And so that's an area that we love playing with brands on. And if you look at some of the campaigns that we've done over the last 4 years, there's a lot of them. And we love to point to that, whether it's a 10-minute TikTok with Hilton that now sets the new standard of kind of long form on TikTok, to, our Sonic campaign or many others. Um, but that's what brands are coming to us for in a lot of instances, is like, how do we do that? How do we do it authentically? And then how do we do it at scale? And then the beauty about the team that we've built here and the flywheel is we're able to figure out ways where we can activate that messaging across a variety of different platforms. So with a partner like Hilton, it's not only Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Snapchat. We also integrate them into our TV shows, or we'll integrate them into our podcast, or we'll try to figure out a collaboration where we could launch a product at the Hampton Inn. And so it's like a very different approach than just kind of media and delivery.
Yeah. Look, I think it's really hard for brands um to reach consumers these days. The kind of the traditional marketing tactics kind of playbook has been turned on its head. And to Bruce's point, to cut through the clutter and make a big splash and kind of and reach a ton of people like in a really fun way that that tells a story that is so culturally relevant. There's probably only, a few, but Paris is definitely the driver of how you tell that story and how you get that out. And then the beauty of the capabilities I think that we've built is that we can both make a huge splash and then we can follow that up with kind of a constant drumbeat. Um, and our ability to create content in all of these formats and engage with people in an ongoing, authentic way allows us to tell that ongoing story with a brand partner. And then we also have a built-in network of kind of influencers and creators that we work with on a regular basis to kind of even create like an additional surround sound. So so we have a lot of fun with the brands, but and I think it's only going to get more and more important, kind of as AI takes over traditional like search for partners and kind of like how they can show up and cut through. Where that's our fun.
And we love partners that don't think about kind of a single campaign, but love to kind of play the narrative always on, as Rachel was just saying. And we have quite a number of those partners that really want to be a part of the journey and a part of everything we do. And so that then just gives us the ability to work in
Yeah.
kind of very, very creative ways that customers, will now see that this isn't just a single campaign. This is something that we will be a part of for a long period of time.
You guys are going to Cannes Lion, and do you want to talk a little bit just about what you guys are doing there and what type of insights you're bringing there?
Yeah, so we've gone to Cannes Lion since we started the company. We find it to be not only a beautiful destination, but an opportunity to connect with the creative and business community in a whole new way. And so, we typically uh, go for a few days to talk about some of the campaigns that we've done over the past year, but really focus on where we're going as a company and how we can partner with brands in a whole new way. And so that's really at the center of it. Paris will be on a few really, really unique panels that I think some have been announced. I'm not really sure. Um, but that's really where we start. And the beauty about it is we have a lot of partners that are out there that we're able to kind of have these conversations about where we could go together over the course of the next 12 to 24 months.
Well, guys, I know we're at time, but I really appreciate you guys coming on and giving us some insight into the company. And we're honestly, we wish so much success your way. And we're cheerleading from the Women in Entertainment Network.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
It was wonderful.
Thank you for listening to In Her Words. We hope you'll join us at womeninentertainment.com and go to our Substack for extended interviews and behind-the-scenes access.